8 warning signs of an uneducated person, and how to avoid being one. We've all heard of high school dropouts who became billionaires. We've also heard of people who earned graduate degrees and did nothing more than sit on their laurels and collect unemployment checks while they complained that they couldn't find a job in their field. Learning how to educate yourself through any available means is key to success, both personally and professionally. In this video, we will be showing you 8 warning signs of an uneducated person, and how you can avoid being one. Welcome to KENNYGOLD LUXURY, where we share everything about luxury and assist you in experiencing the lifestyle of the wealthy. We classify the world's priciest goods and take a peek inside the homes of the richest people on the planet. Remember to click the like and subscribe button, as this helps us know how much value we bring to you and allows more people to get these values too. Here are 8 warning signs of an uneducated person, and how to avoid being one. 1. They expect different outcomes from doing the same thing. An uneducated person might not know that different outcomes are possible from doing the same thing. They may think that if you're good at something, it will always work out. But sometimes, even when you try your best, things don't go your way. This is why it's important to have a backup plan and not get too attached to one option. Sometimes, no matter what you do, there isn't going to be a happy ending. That doesn't mean there's nothing else for you to do or learn, it just means maybe this isn't your opportunity. Knowing that there could be more than one outcome gives us options on how we can move forward in life, even if we still need to choose another path after this one doesn't work out. The problem with only being educated in things they enjoy. It's tempting as an uneducated person to spend their time reading about subjects they find interesting because they feel like everything in their lives revolves around those subjects. 2. They undermine their capabilities. Do you know what you're talking about? Of course not. If you don't, then who does? This is the attitude that can come from a lack of education, and it's one way to avoid being uneducated. Make sure your knowledge is sound and accurate by seeking out experts and resources that will back up your claims. You never want to be caught looking foolish because someone else knew something that you didn't. They aren't interested in learning. Sometimes people are just more interested in living their lives and having fun rather than taking the time for studying and learning new things. They don't have good habits. If a person doesn't make good decisions when they are young, they will most likely continue those habits into adulthood. They lack critical thinking skills. Someone with a poor education may not have had many opportunities to think critically about different issues, which could lead them to making poor decisions as adults or trusting sources blindly without giving much thought to their accuracy. 3. They talk more than they listen. They talk more than they listen. If you're constantly talking without much listening, it can be a sign that you don't really care about what the other person is saying. It's also possible that you are just not very interested in hearing their point of view. Either way, if someone is trying to talk with you and all you want to do is talk instead, then this may be a warning sign. B. They use slang words or curse words when they speak. Whether or not using curse words and slang are okay are subjective, but if someone uses them in most sentences when speaking to you, then it may be a warning sign that they're uneducated. C. They don't know how to use proper grammar. Slang words aside, one thing I see often is that people will ask, whose house are we going to? There should be no question marks at the end because it sounds like they're asking whose houses are we going to? The word whose has already been used, and people should know enough about grammar rules by now that there shouldn't be a question mark following whose. D. Their vocabulary isn't as extensive as yours. If you notice yourself explaining simple words or concepts to someone else who supposedly has graduated high school, then it may be time for some self-reflection. E. When asked how old they were, they say something like 18 or 19 years old even though they have graduated high school. 4. They do not learn from their mistakes. The first sign of an uneducated person is that they do not learn from their mistakes. Sometimes, it seems like the more you learn in life, the less you know. The truth is, the more we learn about our mistakes and what can cause them, the better equipped we are to prevent them in the future. If you find yourself consistently making bad decisions and you don't have a plan for how to break this pattern and make better ones going forward, then it's time for some self-reflection. It may be worth getting professional help with your decision-making process if you're unable to come up with a plan on your own. But oftentimes, it just takes asking yourself a few important questions when faced with an opportunity to turn down or take another direction. Is there potential for regret? Do I have other commitments at this time? Am I confident in my ability to succeed? Does this offer good long-term benefits? Think through all the consequences before taking any action, even if you think the choice will be obvious or doesn't really matter much one way or the other, and don't make any snap judgments based on fear. 5. They make no attempt to improve. A lack of effort is usually a sign that someone is not educated. They might be content with their current level of understanding and stop there, or they may feel that what they know is good enough for them and make no effort to improve. You can tell if this person hasn't made any attempt at improvement by looking for signs such as being unable to recall things from memory, reading at a lower level than they should be able to, or sounding out words instead of reading them off the page. This person might also rely on other people's opinions more than their own when given choices. For example, they might defer judgment in a debate to others even when the evidence says otherwise. The best way to avoid becoming one of these people is to continually work towards educating yourself. Make it a goal each day to learn something new, whether it be vocabulary or math skills. Researching topics you're interested in will help you remember what you've learned too. 6. They are unable to form their own opinions. They are unable to form their own opinions. The general consensus on something is what they believe. They cannot do basic math or reading comprehension. They cannot formulate a logical argument for their point of view. They cannot solve a simple problem on their own and need someone else's help every time they run into a difficulty. They refuse to change anything about themselves even if it doesn't serve them well. They cling on to outdated ideas that have long since been proven wrong, like religion and the state of the world being flat, despite centuries worth of evidence proving otherwise. They choose stupid jobs that don't require much in the way of intelligence because they're content with low-paying, menial labor. They want to be told what to do at all times so they never have to think critically. They want everything done for them and will not take any initiative themselves. If someone disagrees with them, they get easily angry and lash out physically or verbally. It takes work every day just to make it through life without feeling overwhelmed by confusion at everything around you. 7. They blame others for their difficulties. Blaming others for your difficulties is a sign that you're not taking personal responsibility, and it's a habit that will only hold you back from success. Unfortunately, this type of mindset is all too common in today's society. For example, many people blame their lack of education for the challenges they face in finding a good job or paying off their student loans. For example, many people blame their lack of education for the challenges they face in finding a good job or paying off their student loans. These problems could be avoided if they just took the time to educate themselves. This doesn't necessarily mean going back to school or earning a degree, it just means making sure you know enough about the world around you, which doesn't take much effort at all. The best way to start is by reading magazines, newspapers and blogs. The longer you wait to start educating yourself, the more likely it becomes that one day you'll look around and realize how uneducated you really are. 8. They are discriminatory. One warning sign of an uneducated person is that they are discriminatory. An educated person knows that discrimination, whether it's racial, sexual, or something else, is wrong and should be avoided at all costs. They aren't open-minded. Another warning sign of an uneducated person is the lack of open-mindedness. A more educated individual realizes there is always something to learn and that new opinions can broaden their perspective on things. They have a lack of conversation skills. A third sign of an uneducated person is a lack of conversation skills. A more well-read individual will always have engaging topics for discussion because they've read a variety of materials throughout their lifetime. They don't want to learn anything new. The final warning sign for an uneducated person is the fact that they don't want to learn anything new. While this can apply in any field, people with a thirst for knowledge often want to pursue higher education after high school graduation because there are so many different opportunities out there for them. They refuse to acknowledge their ignorance. It's not easy being uneducated in today's world. It can be really difficult for a person who is uneducated to find happiness and fulfillment in life, because they are missing the skills necessary to succeed in the modern world. However, there are some warning signs that someone is uneducated that you can use as a guide if you suspect someone might be suffering from this problem. If you or someone you know exhibits one or more of these warning signs, it may be time to seek help. 1. You're unable to find jobs at or above your skill level. This can happen when employers believe that those with degrees have more expertise than those without them. 2. You're unable to answer questions on current events. This could be due to lack of exposure to news sources and/or unwillingness to change their stance on various issues. 3. You don't participate in intellectual conversations or activities outside work or school. When all conversations revolve around sports, TV shows, and other non-intellectual topics, then it becomes apparent that the person doesn't take part in any discussions related to anything else. 4. You think people only need a high school degree now since most people don't go past college nowadays. There are many opportunities for jobs that require post-secondary education but don't require an undergraduate degree, like tradesman, scientist, research, librarian, manager, supervisor, etc. Conclusion. Being uneducated is a major problem in the world today. The root cause is poverty, and the solution starts with investment. This may seem counterintuitive, but the best thing we can do for people in poverty is to invest in them. By investing in their education, we can break the cycle of poverty and allow them to lift themselves out of it. Education empowers people, allowing them to make better decisions for themselves and their families. If you want your child or grandchild to be educated, then invest in their education now so they don't become one of the many uneducated adults who live on less than $2 a day with no way out. Your top choice for the next group of millionaires, entrepreneurs, and business people is KENNYGOLD Luxury. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment.